I came here for the land of the free, the home of the brave, where you can say anything you want, and then suddenly, when you speak about certain things, you get accused of all things, right, left, and center. I'm sorry, did you say like an Islamic entity from the river to the sea? Did you say that?
I did.
But people who shouting from the river to the sea are not really Islamic. And they don't, and many of them don't even agree with Hamas. The river to the sea is a Palestinian chant, it's not an Islamic chant. That's number one. Number two, from the river to the sea is not coined by the Palestinians, it's coined by the Israelis. If I'm criticizing Israel, why is this anti-Semitic? It's like when you criticize Saudi Arabia or Iran or Egypt, nobody calls you an Islamophobe, right? Why can't we joke about what Israel is doing? And why is every joke or every criticism in Israel is like as if it's like an anti-Jewish sentiment? It is not.
What happens when a sharp-tongued Egyptian satirist walks into the lion's den of Western media and flips the table? You get Bassem Youssef unleashing a verbal carpet bomb on Stephen Sackur. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Not just with facts, but with dark surgical satire. In this scorched sit-down, Bassem exposes the hypocrisy of free speech in the West, where criticizing Israel suddenly makes it anti-Semitic, but trashing every Arab nation and anti-Arab slogan is fair game. He drags the shoot and cry narrative. He torches Hollywood for silencing and canceling him, and calls out the sacred cow of Israeli victimhood wrapped in US tax dollars. And just when Stephen tries to pin him down on Hamas, Bassem flips it, schooling him on the origin of from the river to the sea and the myth of Israel's moral superiority. This isn't just a conversation, it's a dismantling. Be the judge of it for yourself. Let's jump in.
No, but how can you talk about anything that all of these regimes, all of these countries have failed? So this is like a hornet nest. And then when it happens, I still didn't want to get in. But then when I saw the people, the pro-Israeli people talking on the media, and I got my blood was boiling, because it's like this is plain lies. This is plain lies, and I think it triggered something in me. I left Egypt because I was not able to say what's on my mind. And I came here for the land of the free, the home of the brave, where you can say anything you want. And then suddenly, when you speak about certain things, you get accused of all things, right, left, and center. If I'm criticizing Israel, why is this anti-Semitic? It's like when you criticize Saudi Arabia or Iran or Egypt, nobody calls you an Islamophobe, right? But it's only Israel. It's like this kind of like, you feel all of this like victimization, all of this like guilt tripping. Israel is a government, is a country, and I don't know why as an American I can say whatever I want about Trump or Biden, and then I come to Israel and all of these like booby traps that you cannot go into. It is unfair, and it's against the freedom of expression, and that is against the promise that America and the West give the people to tell them to come to us.
But
come here.
What you did, your approach to addressing this issue was fascinating, because, and let's name him, Piers Morgan, a British interviewer,
yes,
colleague of mine in the media.
And he's very good at what he's doing.
Yeah, and what you did on his show was kind of subversive, because you went on an international TV show and using the darkest form of sort of satire and sarcasm that I can think of, you actually said, you know what, let them kill the Palestinians. They should even kill more. And you said, you know, I know Palestinians, my wife's family is Palestinian. It's impossible to kill them, but I keep trying. And there was this sort of edge of horrible sarcasm, dark sarcasm to what you were saying, which subverted the entire interview. How carefully did you think about what you were doing?
I don't know, because I was going there and I could be losing my career or losing... Actually, I lost stuff. Like after the Piers Morgan interview, I was cast to be in the movie Superman. And they talked to me about it, and I did my audition right before, one day before the strike, the SAG-AFTRA strike started. And then after the strike was released, I was in Australia, and then my agent said, like, oh, well, they changed the script, and we're not in the movie anymore.
I'm now being very careful with you, Bassem, because I'm not entirely sure. You were going to be in Superman.
No, I'm not as Superman, but like, I'm too old for that. But like, I was actually in a very good role, and I spoke to them, and it was, they loved my audition. They called me 1 hour after my audition, like, you got the role. And then I was very, and then I was very sad for a couple of days. I was angry. I was angry at Warner Brothers. I was angry at DC, and I was
because what you're basically saying they changed the role in a way that made it a role you didn't want to do anymore.
No.
Or were they actively saying?
No. I was cancelled from the home.
You're cancelled. Yeah, we don't want you.
But in Hollywood you can't really hold them for that, because that happens the whole time. They change scripts all the time, and so for part of me I was angry. And it's like, what? I lost a role in Superman, and that's a super horrible movie because what I had to say, because I voiced my opinion. So when I went on the Piers Morgan show, knowing that I can lose stuff, which I did, And also I can lose my people because if I didn't go hard enough. The only way that I did, you say that my satire was dark. You know why my satire was dark? Because reality was darker. Because we were like sitting there talking, like commending Israel for warning people before they bomb them. It's just, what? This is satire. This is satire. The fact that like they are killing people and they feel sad about it. And then I read about it. There's that expression in Hebrew called yorim v'bushim. Have you heard about it? Yorim v'bushim. It literally translates to shooting and crying. And it's like, it refers to a group of media and books and movies in the Israeli media when the soldiers talk about how sad they are for shooting people and shooting the enemy. We see that in American movies there. It's not about the thousands of people they killed, but it's all about the mental health of the soldiers who pulled the trigger. And that's why you tell like, oh, we're killing civilians. It's unfortunate. What? And they guilt trip you. I'm sorry, I want to say one thing, because I'm sure they said, remember how many times did they bring up Dresden or Hiroshima? It's like, oh, you did it, so we can do it too. So what's next? They enslave Palestinians, like when you enslave black people? This whole idea about guilt tripping you, so like as long
it's fascinating. But what I'm hearing from you is a lot of thought you have had about what Israel is doing, what Zionism represents to you. What perhaps I hear less of is your thoughts about Hamas and how you, as now an Arab American, but as an Egyptian too, how you relate to the Islamism and the commitment to violence and the commitment to establishing a Palestinian Islamic entity from the sea to the River Jordan, how you make sense of that, and whether you have a critique of that too, which you want to express, or whether you don't feel able to express that.
No, I'm sorry. Did you say like an Islamic entity from the river to the sea? Did you say that?
I did.
But people who shouting from the river to the sea are not really Islamic. And they don't, and many of them don't even agree with Hamas. The river to the sea is a Palestinian chant, it's not an Islamic chant. That's number one. Number two, from the river to the sea is not coined by the Palestinians, it's coined by the Israelis. It's in the Likud party chart in 1977. They say from the sea to the Jordan, there are only going to be Israeli sovereignty. So they coined the thing before that. Second of all, when I criticize Israel, I criticize it because it's in the position of power. I'm absolutely no fan of Hamas. And you know from my history in Egypt, the Muslim Brotherhood doesn't like me, and I don't like them either. I am against a theocracy, and I'm against like religion being in politics, and that's why I found it very hypocritical from Israel saying that we are a secular, democratic state, and at the same time, just like we are a Jewish state. What are you? Are you a theocracy or a democracy? Are you something like for the secular for everybody, or you just like or exclusively for the Jews? And so that's why is it like when the West talks about everything, it's liberal, secular, democratic. Only when it comes to Israel, it's biblical. Why? You know, that's the problem. Try to convince me that Israelis have more right in this land, more than Palestinian, without using religion. They can't. Because it's even that the liberal Zionists, they're all about, oh, we're atheists, we don't believe in God. But it is the God gave them to them. They're promised people, promised land, promised by whom? Of chosen people. Chosen by whom? The God, my God, your God, who's God?
So what I get is that you came to this country saying, you know what, I'm done with politics, I'm done with people's expectations that I can somehow deliver change because I am in the end just a comedian. And here you sit today with doubtless many Arab Americans, but indeed many Arabs in the Arab world, and particularly many Palestinians now seeing you as a hugely important voice giving expression to their anger, their feeling that the international media is unfair, feeling that their message never gets through. Are you now feeling uncomfortable again?
Very,
you've become a messenger?
I'm scared. I'm scared. And when people come to my shows, like, if you're expecting that I'm going to talk about Israel, Hamas, no. I've been working on my hour for 5 years. There is not a single joke in my... If you come to my show expecting that I'm going to speak about Piers Morgan and Israel, no. I tell that because I'm a comedian.
I'm actually interested in this interface between comedy and the most difficult subjects. And right now, one of the most difficult subjects in the world is what's happening in Gaza.
Yes.
For you as a comedian, is it possible to find laughs, to make jokes about what is happening?
It is very sensitive. It is very sensitive, and sometimes you throw certain things in the middle. I was in Australia, and I was sold out the Opera House. And then so they added 2 extra rows of chairs in front of the front row. And I went out and I said, like, and I started making jokes about, like, those people, the first row, they paid first row, and then suddenly they found people coming in and blocking their view. Like, and then I said, like, these are not extra shares, these are illegal settlements, and people laughed. So you have like little things, you know. And by the way, and I can talk. Comedy doesn't have to be insulting, but you are interested about the interface of comedy and politics, and I'll tell you why this is important. You know, this whole thing about comedy in America, about PC, political. You cannot say this, you cannot joke about this. The same. Why can't we joke about what Israel is doing? And why is every joke or every criticism in Israel is like as if it's like an anti-Jewish sentiment? It is not. It is not. And this is the thing.
But I mean, it's interesting you say that, because on the one hand, I totally get it. As a comedian, you want to be free. You want to be free to address even the most difficult issues, because God knows, you know, the human experience does generate humor and laughs, however dark it may be. On the other hand, right now, we know, the figures suggest it's undeniable, that there's a spike in anti-Semitism in the United States, just as there is a spike in Islamophobia and attacks on Arab Americans. So I just wonder whether you as a comedian feel a responsibility to, you know, to tone it down, to find a language that isn't going to inflame, or do you have to ignore that?
No, well, here's the thing. People need to separate between criticism and comedy and between inciting for hate. You can make fun of Muslims right, left, and center, but there's difference between calling them they are terrorists, or this is different between comedy and real inciting terror. When I go out and I speak about the government, I can say whatever I want about the government, because I say more about my government, right? You say more about your government. So, but it's the problem. It's the switch. Because, of course, there's rise of anti-Semitism. I mean, I can never even imagine, like, a Jewish kid going to college and being shot in his spine because he spoke in Hebrew. Same way that happened to Hisham al-Awarta, like a Palestinian kid who was wearing kufiya and was shot because he was speaking in Arabic in Vermont, in Brown University. And there are Jewish kids who are locked in their dorms because they're afraid to go out.
I mean, I just have to say, for legal reasons, I mean, those cases you refer to are terrible, but they are still under investigation, court cases.
Under investigation, court cases, nothing is final, but it's happening.
I actually want to, before we end, bring it back to you living now with your family in Los Angeles, an American citizen, and some will watch this and will think, this is the guy who lives in a country which sends, or is seeking to send, another $16 billion worth of assistance, military and other assistance to Israel, on top of the $4 billion a year it already sends to Israel. And yet, this man says that he is proud to be an American, and he likes living in America.
Yes. I believe in the idea of America. America gave me a second chance. America was good to me. I am proud, and I want my kids to be raised as proud Egyptian Americans. I like America, the idea. What I don't like is American policies. What I don't like is the American government sabotaging this idea. So me, as an American, I want to have a say in changing how the discourse of an American politics would do, so I would be more proud. When people criticize...
Except you're the Bassem Youssef who, at the beginning of this interview, said to me, Stephen, I want to be really clear with you, I'm a comedian, I don't seek to change things.
Yes, but the thing is, like, when it happens is that I don't want to be... You can change things by comedy, not by activism. Meaning that I'm not going to run into, like, political rallies, I don't want to be part of this. But as an American, how do I feel when an American representative wears the uniform of the IDF, when my politicians that I vote to receive their money from special interest group, whether they're AIPAC or NRA, so suddenly my votes are gone to waste. So now people, and the Democrats are blackmailing us.
1 year later, since this sit-down was released, and every damn word Bassem Youssef said hits harder than ever. He called it, though, the censorship, the guilt-tripping, the weaponization of anti-Semitism to silence criticism of Israel, the hypocrisy of Western free speech that folds the second you speak up for Palestine. He laid it bare with satire darker than reality reality itself, because reality, as he said, was darker. And now Bassem's gone quiet. Not because he's wrong, but because he's too right. From Hollywood canceling his roles, agencies ghosting him, and he knows the more he speaks, the faster his comedy career dies. That's where we are today. Silence is rewarded, truth is punished, and those who dare to challenge the narrative are disappeared, not by force, but by cancellation. Stephen tried to steer the convo towards Hamas, Islamism, anything but Israeli policies, and Bassem outplayed him at every turn, from breaking down the real origins from the river to the sea, to torching the double standards of religious theocracy versus democracy. This wasn't a comedian cracking joke, it was a man risking it all to speak the truth on international TV. So let me ask you, how many more comedians, artists, and activists need to vanish before we admit the truth isn't free anymore? Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I hope to catch you in the next one.